Hi, and welcome to the sideboard here for our top 8 interviews. I'm Ken Crocker here with our ace seed, Chris Anderson. How you doing, Chris?
Hey Ken, how's it going?
So in the standard portion, you went 7-1 with Green White Devotion.
Yeah.
And in the legacy portion, you went 6-2 with what we're calling Esper Thopter Foundry.
It's 5-2.
Is it 5-2?
I intentionally drew the last.
5-2-1.
5-2.
So exactly why did you choose those decks for this particular tournament?
Okay, so Green White Devotion, I think it's one of the best decks in standard, and like obviously in Grand Prix Miami, just crushed the tournament. And I don't really think much changed. I think the format is still super young. It's the very first day, of the format, so people don't exactly know what they're doing. And this deck is very powerful, very consistent, and mono red was like the front runner, and. Sure. It has got a very strong mono red matchup, so it just seemed like a really good choice to play. As for Thopters, as soon as Treasure Cruise is banned, I still knew Dig Through Time is almost as good as Treasure Cruise. Sure. We all knew that, when BBD won the Grand Prix with Dig Through Times, Rudy won the Legacy Open with the Dig Through Times deck, and he was like, this card's even better than Treasure Cruise. And I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it's definitely close. And Treasure Cruise is still legal in Legacy, or no, Dig Through Time is still legal in Legacy. Yeah. So I'm just built the best Dig Through Time deck that I could, and I think it's really super powerful. There hasn't really been much innovation in Legacy since the Treasure Cruise banning, but I think that this really should be a deck, at least maybe not necessarily the Thopter win condition,
sure, but
a Dig Through Time shell with the Thought Scours and the Snapcaster Mages. It's just very, very powerful, and something that should be going on in Legacy that really isn't. So I wanted to exploit that.
So speaking of mono red, in the quarterfinals, you're facing Michael Braverman, who is on mono red aggro. Mm-hmm. Exactly. How do you feel about your matchup there? Very
well, actually. Not on the play, which is a little concerning, but honestly, I've played it 3 times in the Swiss already, and I lost 1 game. 2-0, 2 of them, 2-1 the other guy. A lot of things have to go right for him to be able to win the game, and so many of my cards are so difficult for him to deal with. I've got Coursers, Pelucranos, lots of life gain.
Sure,
my commands are insane.
You're feeling pretty confident about it?
I get to board in spot removal against him now too. I don't remember the new card's name. It's the Celestial Purge, the white one.
Okay.
But yeah, I've just got a lot of really, really tough cards for him to deal with. I'm very confident about that matchup.
All right. Well, since you're very confident about the quarterfinals, if you actually win this whole thing, we get to make a token in your likeness.
Yeah.
So what token are you going to choose?
Well, if there were any constructed playable cards that used Elf Warrior tokens from Lorwyn, I would have to snap that off, I'd imagine. But considering no one really plays Elvish Promenade or like Imperial Perfect or whatever, I can't really do anything with it. So I guess Thopter token.
So Thopter token?
Yeah, I mean, I want an open with the Thopters. Playing Thopters right now in Legacy. The first Pro Tour that I qualified for, I won with a Thopter deck, an extended back. So Thopters have been really good to me over the years. So I think that would be great.
All right. Well, good luck with that, Chris.
Thanks. Looking forward to it.
So now we're going to head over to Nick Miller's with our 7th seed, Ross Mariam.
Hi guys, Nick Miller here with Ross Mariam, our 7th seed. How you doing, sir?
Good.
Pretty good. You're in your 2nd invitational top 8. Yep. You were an 8-0 player. You had a rough start of day 2. Talk about your road here.
As you said, the 8-0 start, and then day 2, I lost my first 3 rounds and wasn't feeling too good. But I knew I would be really happy if I could just get to the Legacy portion of the event still alive, and I was fortunate enough to do that. Opponent sort of flooded in game 3, and from that point I could sort of feel the energy turn around a little bit, and then got to play some with Brainstorm and Forcible, and fortunately they were enough to carry the day.
Speak about your deck choice in Legacy. We've known you for Elves. You've audibled over to Storm. You came out with Sultai Delver. I heard you were on that deck, and I was like, what's going on here?
Well, I sort of blended the two. I took Elves and I took Brainstorm, and I put them together. And turns out when you pair your Deathrite Shamans with blue cards, you can actually beat Miracles, which I did 3 times.
It was very important to get in here. Now you're going to be playing Standard in the top 8. You're on a red-green aggro deck. How'd you come to this deck, and how's it been doing for you?
So I talked a lot with Matt Costa leading up to the event, and we were both on a green-red. We both have sort of dabbled with it a little bit before, him more than me, and I liked what it gained from Dragon's Vitarkir with Thunderbrick Regent and Surok and Draconic Roar. So I thought it was going to be a deck that could take the metagame a little bit by surprise because it has a lot of new cards and plays a lot to my style. Mana creatures, aggressive, just a little bit of removal to get your guys through, or in the case of Creditor's Clause, have some reach. So it was a deck that fit me very well, a deck that I was somewhat familiar with, and a deck that I thought was well positioned with the release of Dragons of Tarkir.
Okay. Well, speaking of the metagame, you're playing against Abzan, mid-range control in the quarterfinals against Jacob Wilson. How do you think that matchup's going to play out?
I think it's going to be close. Like every matchup against Abzan is close, but I think strategically I'm a little bit ahead. His list is a little bit different than a stock list with the Sidisi and Seder Wayfinder package, rather than Fleecemane Lions or maybe Read the Bones like some other decks. He's a little bit more removal than most, which is going to be good against me. There's a few little dynamics there. So looking forward to some good games, and hopefully I come out ahead.
All right, well, this is your second invitational top 8. The last time the token wasn't in play. But now if you take it all down, you get your likeness on a token. Have you thought about it? What's going to be the option?
Right now I'm leaning towards making a Monastery Mentor monk token.
All right,
So have
I
a nice
like it.
bearded monk.
All right, well, Ross,
Should be
good
good.
luck in your quarterfinals. I'm going to send it back over to Ken Crocker, who is with our 6th seed, Jason Coleman.
Ken Crocker here with top 8 competitor 60, Jason Coleman. Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today.
All right, Jason. So in the standard portion of the Invitational, you went 6-2 with Abzan Aggro.
Yep.
And then you went 6-1-1 with lands.
Yeah, that's correct.
So why did you choose those exact decks for this tournament?
I picked Abzan Aggro because it's very strong against Ultimate Price, and Dromoka's Command just seemed like the strongest card in the set. In addition to that, it just plays a powerful game plan, and I like being aggressive at the start of the format. The traditional Abzan deck seemed a little bit slow for me, and I don't like playing control decks too early in the format. So it was pretty good there. And lands is a deck that I played with for a while, and it punishes fair decks. It just has game versus almost everything. I beat Storm twice with that deck, which seems unlikely, but there's a lot of sideboard for that. And
It's pretty nice,
Yeah.
pretty nice. So in the quarterfinals, you're going to be facing against Todd Anderson, who's on Jeskai Tokens.
Yep.
So how do you feel about that matchup?
I feel that's probably my best matchup in the top 8.
Well, why is that?
I have Bile Blights, Drown in Sorrows, Dromoka's Command to get rid of his Ascendancy. Without the Ascendancy, the deck kind of falls apart, and all my cards just line up very well with this.
Okay, so you seem pretty well prepared for that.
Yep.
So you get past Todd, and let's say you win the whole tournament.
Sure.
You get a token and your likeness. So we got to ask, what do you want?
I want to make a 0/1 plant token for Avengers Zendikar and Colony Garden. I just always cube draft and always take that. Every EDH deck I play plays Avenger, and that's just a card I always love to play.
Well, good luck with the rest of the tournament, Jason. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to head over to Nick Miller, who's with our 5th seed, Joe Bass.
Hi, guys. Nick Miller here, along with our 5th seed, Joe Bass. How you doing, sir?
Good.
Pretty good to see you. You're a Texas grinder. We've known you for quite a while. First invitational top 8. How you feeling today?
Pretty great. Pretty great. It's pretty unreal to actually top 8 one of these. So
Yeah. All right. Well, you had a pretty strong performance with your standard deck, Abzan, and we've all known you for Miracles and Legacy. Not so much with your deck choice and Legacy, but how'd you come to Abzan in standard?
I didn't really feel like, I don't know, trying to brew with the new set or anything. I just felt like it was the safest choice. So it just what I thought was the best deck. I figured I should just play it.
Was the impact of Dragons of Tarkir more or less than you expected?
I don't know, probably less. I only played 2 new cards, so.
All right. All right. Well, your matchup here in the quarterfinals is against Reed Duke. Pretty tough draw. Who's on the Sultai Reanimator deck. How do you feel this matchup's going to go?
At first I was worried, but after I looked at his list, he only plays 2 whips, like a Hornet Queen. And so I don't really think it's as bad as like the traditional whip decks. So I think it's going to be about 50-50. He might be a little favored.
Okay. With your first invitational top 8 here, you have a chance to win it all. There's $10,000. It's an invite to the Players' Championship, but there's also a token. Have you thought about what it's going to be if you take it all down?
Yeah, I'd probably do a Germ token.
So you're going to compete with BBD for the Batterskull reign, huh?
Yeah, but
All right.
I'm sorry.
I like it. He's coming for you, BBD. Speaking of which, I'm going to send it over to Ken, who is with Reed Duke.
Ken Crocker here with our 4th seed, Reed Duke. Reed, how you doing?
I'm doing great, ready to go.
Alrighty, well, in the standard portion of the tournament, you went 7-1 with Sultai Reanimator.
Yeah.
And in the legacy portion, you went 5-1-2 with Miracles.
Yep.
So exactly why did you pick those decks for this tournament?
Well, to be honest, I knew for a long time that these were the decks I was going to play. Very comfortable with both of them, and I like them for an open field when it's hard to predict what your opponents are going to be playing. In particular, I like the Sultai Reanimator deck because it has quite a good sideboard. So, with any luck, it'll be well set up for best 3 out of 5 matches today.
Well, speaking of that sideboard, you're going to be playing against Joe Bass, who's currently on Abzan Control. So how do you feel about that matchup in the quarterfinals?
Well, it's definitely going to be a close and challenging matchup, but I really enjoy playing matchups like that, those slow, grindy, mid-range control mirrors, and I think I'll come out on top.
Is there any particular reason, any cards in the sideboard you think you're going to be using?
No, just generally, baseless confidence.
That's what we like to hear, is confidence.
Yeah.
So you already have one Star City Games token, but if you win this whole event, you get another Star City Games token. So what one are we going to be looking for out of you this time? I'm
going to be a 4/4 dragon token for the new Sarkin Unbroken.
Alrighty, so we're going to have a dragon, a Duke dragon, if you will.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, Reed, best of luck.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, now we're going to kick it over to Nick Miller, who's with our 3rd seed, Todd Anderson.
Hi guys, Nick Miller back here with our 3 seed, Todd Anderson.
What's up, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We've seen you here before.
Yeah.
3 invitational top 8s.
2 years and 3 months. I've been counting.
Oh man, you're a delight. Now, you guys in the Roanoke crew worked on this Jeskai Tokens deck. Yep. Brad, BBD, yourself, Tom. 7-1 in standard with it. How you feeling for the top 8?
I'm feeling pretty good, honestly. I was actually more happy with my standard deck in this tournament than my legacy deck, which has not happened in, in about 2 years. So, I do like the deck a bunch. We put a lot of work into it over the last week and a half or so. Ojutai, the Dragon Lord, is just unbelievable.
The things I saw you guys do with that card, along with the Ascendancy, just being able to attack, get your card, untap it, protect it, all the things seem very well tuned.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jeskai Ascendancy works incredibly well with the card. Any spell can, untap it and make sure it keeps hexproof so that they can't kill it. It fuels the Jeskai Ascendancy by getting more cards, and it's a 5/4 flyer for 5 mana, so it's not bad at all.
Legacy deck of choice, Infect. Tom has infiltrated your group quite a bit. You've played it at the Atlanta Open with the top 8 back then.
Yep.
Worked for you pretty well. You won your winning end against Jeff Hoagland. Talk about that match just to get here.
All right. So I asked earlier if they had switched to my face when in Game 3 at any point before the match was over. They said no. But Jeff keeps his opener. He's playing Reanimator. I'm playing Infect. I go. He goes turn 1 fetch line pass. I go fetch Grafdigger's Cage. And he has this weird look on his face, and he goes, fetch Brainstorm, draws 3. And before resolving his Brainstorm, he says, I'm going to take a look at my sideboard. and I just start giggling, doing this, and I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted you to say. So, yeah, he ended up leaving the show and tells in the sideboard, and just couldn't beat the card. So
you had a pretty phenomenal run. You were 5-3 or 4-3 going into the last round at day 1. You rattled off 9 straight wins to get here.
Let's make
How's
it 12.
The ride been?
Oh, it's been great, man, but I want 3 more, so it's going to be a lot of fun. 5-game matches are not something I get to do very often, and every time I do them, they're a blast, so this should be great.
Well, speaking of which, quarterfinals coming up. You're facing off against Jason Coleman on Abs and Aggro. How you feel the matchup's going to play?
I feel the matchup's fine. Game 1 might be a little rough. I do have some mediocre cards like Wild Slash in my deck, since those don't really kill many of his creatures, but they can double up and kill some stuff, so it's not terrible. I think that after Game 1, the matchup gets a lot better. I get Glare of Heresy, more Valor stances, things like that, and I can usually just try to kill a bunch of his creatures and cast Treasure Cruise, and I might be leaning a little bit on Dragon Lord Ojutai to get the job done. So.
Well, you've taken down an Invitational before in Atlanta. Back then, you didn't get the custom token. If you take this one down, what's in mind?
I don't know. I might be a gold token just so I can stand behind Ross Mariam and just be like Ross Golds all over the place. But honestly, I think I would like to be a Thopter token just so that I can be a combo with Jerry Thompson.
Excellent. All right. Well, good luck to you in the quarterfinals. I'm going to send it over to Ken, who is with Jacob Wilson.
Ken Crocker here with our second seed, Jacob Wilson. Jacob, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing well. So in the standard portion of the Invitational, you went 5-3 with Abzan Control, and then you ran the table with Temur Delver in the Legacy portion. So what made you choose those decks for this particular tournament?
I had played Abzan a decent amount for the past couple months, and it was the deck I was most comfortable with, and I wanted to try the new Sidisi, so I thought it would be a good deck to try that.
Okay.
And then as far as Delver is concerned, I just love playing that deck, and I'll never play anything else.
All right, so in the quarterfinals, you'd be playing against Ross Mariam, and he's playing red-green aggro. So how do you feel about that matchup going in?
I'm glad that I'm going to be on the play. I'm the higher seed, so that's going to help. But it's definitely a close matchup, and either of us could definitely win.
So you're saying it's like a coin flip, but you're confident about it though, right?
Yeah, I am pretty confident. I would say if we hadn't determined who was on the play, I would be less than 50%, I think.
Okay. So you get past the quarterfinals, you get past Ross, and you win the whole tournament. You get a token of your own likeness. So what are we going to expect out of you?
I would pick a monk if I won.
A monk?
Yep.
So hopefully for some monastery mentor action?
Yep, that's my plan.
All right, well, good luck with that. Thank you.
Thanks.
And now we'll head over to Nick Miller, who's with our first seed, Michael Braverman.
Hi guys, welcome back to the booth. I'm Nick Miller alongside our #1 seed, Michael Braverman. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good.
You have just been on a tear, 13-0 to start off the Invitational. You had the top 8 pretty much locked up from there. How did this tournament go for you? How'd you feel? How was the emotions?
I felt pretty well coming in. Basically, I had to work till 10:30 the night before, and then we drove up the day of at 7 in the morning. So I was just like constantly always like in the zone, like playing. I felt like not taking a break, just like playing every match, like helped me stay in the zone.
The recipe for any good tournament.
Yeah.
Very little sleep, wake up very early.
Yeah.
So your deck choices here, you just obliterated standard. 8-0, mono red aggro. I know you and your brother played the same deck. How'd you guys come to that?
My friend Wilson Hunter and my brother were really pushing the deck, and I was kind of considering just playing a more conservative like Abzan X deck, but they tested a lot and they sold me on it, and it seemed really good. I tested it a lot too, and it just felt pretty good across the board.
For Legacy, I know you've played a lot of Legacy. You got a bunch of top 8s. Shardless Sultai. You just kind of locked in on that from the get-go?
Yeah, it seems very good against a lot of the Delver decks. It hasn't gained a lot, but Dig Through Time is pretty good, and I considered playing Tasigur, but I opted not to. I added Meddling Mages for the sideboard with 1 scrub land, but it's actually kind of funny because the last Invitational I top 8'd was with a similar list, so, and that was like 2 years ago.
Well, it's worked before. Yeah. You're back in your second top 8. You got a quarterfinal matchup coming up, though, against Todd Anderson, who's playing the Green-White Devotion deck that took over GP Miami. How do you feel your matchup is?
It's a little bit rough. I tested it a lot, and I know how to board, and I kind of know how he might board. Last night I think I was like 7-9 or something, so I was a little bit behind, but I could still win.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a lot up for grabs here. $10,000, an invite to the Players' Championship, and a token. Have you thought about what you want?
I definitely would get a Spirit token. It'd be really nice to cast a Lingering Souls, get 2 mics, flash it back, get 2 more.
Mike and Mike.
Yep.
All right. Well, good luck in your quarterfinal matchup. There are no more interviews, so we're going to send it to a quick break. We're going to be back live at 10:30 with the quarterfinal matchup of Reed Duke and Joe Bass. Stay tuned to SCG Live for all the action.